I now present the Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court, the Honorable Potter Stewart, who will administer the oath of office to the Vice President-elect.
As I say, George Bush asked for Potter Stewart as an old friend from college days and on beyond in their lives. And this is the family Bible being held by Mrs. Bush.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office.
The duties of the office.
On which I am about to enter.
On which I am about to enter.
So help you God.
So help me God.
God bless you, George.
The band plays Hail Columbia, traditional musical tribute to the Vice President. That oath of office, by the way, for the Vice President is about twice as long as that to the President himself. Presidential oath, only 35 words. These oaths are the only part of this entire ceremony that is dictated by the Constitution. Nothing else is, no part of the procedure, simply that they shall take these oaths which are in the Constitution. And I suppose this slight delay is to bring that as close to noon as possible.
The Chief Justice of the United States.
It's going to come a couple of minutes early.
The Honorable Warren Burger, who will administer the oath of office to the President-elect.
This will be the fourth oath administered by Justice Burger because of that rapid turnover of presidents with Nixon and then Ford and then Carter.
Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear.
I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
May I congratulate you, sir.
11:59. Ronald Reagan became the 40th President of the United States. The Constitution says he'll become the President in another minute. He added, so help me God. That's not part of the formal Constitution requirement of that oath. It has been added by most of the President's recent memory.
The oath, I'm sure you know, Walter, on a Bible that his mother owned, and a Bible which contains a poem that she wrote, a sonnet she wrote.
Gun salute by the salute gun platoon of the 3rd Infantry Regiment based here in Washington. The inaugural address, we're told will run about 15 minutes, around 2,000 words, written by the President himself, we're told.
The President of the United States.
He wrote this on a legal-size yellow pad with a pencil on a flight from Washington to Los Angeles, January 8th, we're told, and there have been very few changes made since then.
Thank you.
It'll be about the same length as President Carter's address, we're told, about 15 minutes.
Senator Hatfield, Mr. Chief Justice, Mr. President, Vice President Bush, Vice President Mondale, Senator Baker, Speaker O'Neill, Reverend Mumaw, and my fellow citizens. To a few of us here today, this is a solemn and most momentous occasion. And yet in the history of our nation, it is a commonplace occurrence. The orderly transfer of authority as called for in the Constitution routinely takes place as it has for almost 2 centuries, and few of us stop to think how unique we really are. In the eyes of many in the world, this every 4-year ceremony we accept as normal is nothing less than a miracle. Mr. President, I want our fellow citizens to know how much you did to carry on this tradition. By your gracious cooperation in the transition process, you have shown a watching world that we are a united people, pledged to maintaining a political system which guarantees individual liberty to a greater degree than any other. And I thank you and your people for all your help in maintaining the continuity which is the bulwark of our republic. The business of our nation goes forward. These United States are confronted with an economic affliction of great proportions. We suffer from the longest and one of the worst sustained inflations in our national history. It distorts our economic decisions, penalizes thrift, and crushes the struggling young and the fixed income elderly alike. It threatens to shatter the lives of millions of our people. Idle industries have cast workers into unemployment, human misery, and personal indignity. Those who do work are denied a fair return for their labor by a tax system which penalizes successful achievement and keeps us from maintaining full productivity. But great as our tax burden is, it has not kept pace with public spending. For decades, we have piled deficit upon deficit, mortgaging our future and our children's future for the temporary convenience of the present. To continue this long trend is to guarantee tremendous social, cultural, political, and economic upheavals. You and I, as individuals, can, by borrowing, live beyond our means, but for only a limited period of time. Why then should we think that collectively, as a nation, we're not bound by that same limitation? We must act today in order to preserve tomorrow. And let there be no misunderstanding. We're going to begin to act beginning today. The economic ills we suffer have come upon us over several decades. They will not go away in days, weeks, or months, but they will go away. They will go away because we, as Americans, have the capacity now, as we've had in the past, to do whatever needs to be done to preserve this last and greatest bastion of freedom. In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem. From time to time, we've been tempted to believe that society has become too complex to be managed by self-rule, that government by an elite group is superior to government for, by, and of the people. Well, if no one among us is capable of governing himself, then who among us has the capacity to govern someone else?